Hi all, welcome to my Spanish Football League review. So this is like La Liga, Segunda Division, and just this season in general has been in Spain, like a few of the other leagues, certainly has been very interesting. Especially, I think that with La Liga in general, we thought we were going to be seeing a 4-horse race potentially, or a 2-horse race of a different type. Sevilla, like only lost 4 games all season, but they drew 16 games. If you're drawing 16 games in the season, is a bit worrying, like to say the least. Like I wouldn't have predicted. Like if you said to me at the start of the season, that they would draw 16 games, only lose 4, but win 18 and finish 4th, I'd have said to you, nah. I'd have probably had them for 3rd, like 2nd or 3rd. But like Real Madrid coasted it pretty comfortably, 13 points from Barca, who've done well to finish 2nd in the end. Obviously Koeman going, Xavi coming in, doing a fair bit of work to get them up there. Atletico, just inconsistent at times. Namely against Mallorca. Mallorca was the funniest one of the lot that they were so inconsistent against. But that was one of those kind of debates in its own right. But Sevilla, at times looked like head to head were going to be competing with Real Madrid, but it was like game after game after game. There was like they would draw to Cadiz or they would draw to whoever, and you're like, how are you drawing these games? Like, it's great to see them. It's great to see other teams challenging for the title, but it was just like, what is going on here? Like, come on, guys, we want a title race. It just makes it exciting. Like Betis, fair play to them getting 5th under Pellegrini. Sociedad, obviously taking 6th. Like the one that was brought up a lot was Villarreal, because obviously with the way they were going in Europe, it was like people were like people were getting a bit worried. They were getting all a bit worried. It was funny to see actually, and I'm like, really? But yeah, it was just like you just go on with it. But like the way to look at it in the end, for me personally, like if I was a neutral, like Villarreal still getting 7th, I think that's maybe a bit of an expectation on them that they should be finishing say 7th. But like football is a strange beast, I suppose, at the end of the day. Like Bilbao finishing 8th, unlucky to miss out on Europe in the end, I would say. But yeah, that's certainly one that they'll be a bit disappointed with, but you just take what you get at the end of the day. Valencia finishing 9th. Like there was individual positives to be had within the team, namely the likes of like Soler, but like deep down, there's like work to be had in the Valencia squad to potentially have them fighting for a European spot again. Osasuna, they'll probably be happy to finish 10th, but they'll certainly think in their heads that they could have done better. Like just a little bit better, not too much better. Like I think maybe like a couple places, but you never know. They could have felt they could have done better. Celta Vigo were just inconsistent at times. Like sometimes they looked great, sometimes they didn't. Like Aspas obviously delivering the goals again, but yeah, there was times where you just thought, what's going on with Celta Vigo here? But it's like Vallecano, who for some of the individual players within the squad, were a big part of like, oh, this team's doing really well, and they were like the first half of the season they were in the top half. They looked very impressive, and you thought this team could get into Europe. By the way, you actually thought that you thought they could get into Europe, but they fell away. They fell into 12th. The run of form that they had you genuinely felt if the likes of, say, Getafe, Mallorca, Cadiz, Espanyol even, basically the teams below them from like Levante to Vallecano, if they'd turned up just a little bit more, Vallecano could have easily been brought into that relegation battle, and then you would have suddenly been thinking, could like 45 points or something suddenly be what gets them relegated, like third bottom almost, getting relegated? It could have been one of those situations. Like Elche, they'll just be happy to stay up, nothing flashy, just going about their business. Espanyol, I'm sure would like to be a little bit higher, but at the end of the day, it is a fairly competitive division, so they've got to be aware of that. Getafe would like to be higher with the squad that they have in some departments, so yeah, certainly improvements to be had there. Mallorca, they'll be delighted that they managed to finish a little bit higher to get a little bit more prize money, finishing 16th. Took it to the last day of the season. Like, what was the big saving grace there was Granada drawing to Espanyol, and they missed a penalty that would have really swung it around. But at the end of the day, all Mallorca had to do was better Cadiz's result to guarantee safety. That was all they had to do. They did that, and obviously Granada drew, so it meant Granada went down, but Cadiz winning on the final day of the season kept them up. They did their hard bit, so like results in the end of the day went Mallorca in Cadiz's favour and against Granada. Obviously Levante going down was a bit of a shock to a few people. I wouldn't have said that at the start of the season. Morales, there's talk of him potentially leaving, depending where, because like the second half of the season, the Levante squad was different at the first half of the season. Anyone that follows Spanish football can attest to that. Levante were rock bottom. I think it was the first game they won was Mallorca, and I think it was like 19 games in or something, 18 or 19 games in, and like I watched the game. That's how I know, because it was like one of their first wins of the season, and you thought like Levante that day relied basically on Aitor keeping them getting the result, because Aitor made about 10 saves that game, and if I'm honest, if Levante maybe never won that game, you might have thought, could Levante genuinely be not just rock bottom, but like will they get a win? Because it was almost like they just couldn't get a result, but they dug deep, and they genuinely worked their socks off. They tried hard. While in a sense the last day of the season is what it took till to get them near enough relegated. I'll certainly take some positives at the second half of the season. Their form was very impressive, not compared to like the first half of the season, but you've got to be consistent all the time to maybe do enough to keep you up. And there's one statistic I was reading, I think, I think Alaves, they were another team that disappointed in patches as well, obviously finishing bottom of the league. But it was a point I think I read near the end of the season. I think it was Bristol City, Mallorca, and a few other teams. But Mallorca especially was one of the teams I think mentioned in this article. For the amount of points that they had dropped in leading positions, I think it was like Valencia was a 2-0. I think there was a Celta Vigo game. There was a few other games that when they were in either leading positions or it was a draw, and they threw them away. Like either 2 points dropped, or 3 points dropped, or just 1 point dropped. I think they were up there for like, if they could have been in like the top 4 near enough. Like for the amount of points dropped, it was kind of like startling. I thought, Mallorca, really? But that's how sometimes. But it was like, I think Bristol City took like the honour for like most points dropped. Like, I suppose that's just sometimes what you find at the end of the day. Like the second tier, touching on that briefly, Eibar and Almere doing enough to get themselves promoted automatically. Fair play to them. And what I found funny was that Valladolid just kind of ran out of steam for the automatic, not necessarily the automatic, time. I tell you, time this goes live, we'll know if who's up and who's not. But Valladolid, to maybe some people's eyes, maybe ran out of steam because they shouldn't have lost to Real Sociedad's B team. That was one of the big talking points that was brought up, because Alcorcón, Fuenlabrada I wouldn't have had for going down, but because I think they made a few shrewd signings, but not to be. But Real Sociedad's B team, not to be. Malaga were certainly under threat, same as Gijon. You'd say to yourself, Gijon and Malaga, two teams that normally you'd like. Malaga a number of years ago were obviously well financed, were in Champions League, very impressive squad. Nowadays they're fighting to stay up in Spain. It's kind of startling, but it is what it is. I think when you break down the second tier as well, the Real Oviedo, for example, they fell apart from potentially getting up not automatically, but through the playoffs, because of their last few games where they could have been comfortable but not to be, and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes other teams around them is what gets in. Like Burgos, I think they were kind of a bit of a surprise package, but they had a bit of a bad run where they could have been up there. In the days of Huesca, Leganés, Zaragoza, they just don't. They're not consistent enough these days where they could get themselves up there back in the the playoff charges that were. It's just the way it goes. But yeah, you take what you get and you take it from there. Like Ibiza, they were a fun team to watch. Some of their games, some of they had some high scoring games, then they got hammered in some games, and you're like, how can you win this game I think it was 6-1 or 6-2, and then go and get hammered the following week 6-2. It's like, come on guys, how can you be so inconsistent? But I think the way, if I was some of these teams, they'll certainly look to try and improve. Where it'll be harder said than done, like the likes of Gijon and Malaga especially is where I'm meaning towards, and also like Huesca, Leganés and Zaragoza, because with Levante, Malaga, Alaves and Granada coming in, who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be fun and games, but watch this space. Obviously the second tier in Spain still goes on for a little bit, because obviously with the playoff games, so that's what I always find good with Spain. As much as most of the leagues have finished, you've still got near enough Spanish second tier, for example, to fall back on from a top top 5 nation to kind of just watch their playoff games play out. And you've still got a good couple of weeks yet, so it's not because people will be like, oh, there's no football to watch. I'm like, well, there is, and you can watch it usually either on YouTube or because they used to show it on La Liga TV used to show it, but there's always or you just live stream it off. I think it's usually you get Premier Sports sometimes show some of the games. But we'll see how it goes. I'll try and see if I can watch it on YouTube. Some of those games, just keep my eyes peeled, because it usually happens a lot more in the end of the season. At the end of the day, but see how it goes. As I said, Spanish football never fails to deliver. As I said, fair play to Real Betis as well, I should say, for obviously winning the Copa del Rey. Got to give them that applause as well. But let me know, folks, what your thoughts are with Spanish football. How did your team do, or if you follow the league in general, how did you find it? Any of the stories that you found exciting, anything that you think might take shape for next season, all those would be much appreciated as well. So take it easy all, thanks for listening, and I will catch you all later.